One ordinary day on the rocky shores of Norway unleashed an avalanche of astounding, inexplicable events on the researchers, challenging everything they knew about orca behavior. What began as a routine study of marine predators quickly transformed into a drama of rescue and cooperation, reshaping scientific perceptions of the intelligence of ocean inhabitants. In the cool waters of the North Atlantic, a team of marine biologists, led by Dr. Helen Anderson, conducted further observations on the behavior of orcas in local waters. For 3 years, they studied these marine predators, hoping to understand the patterns of their migration and hunting strategies. But the day's events were a revelation, transforming scientists' understanding of ocean life. The morning began with unexpected activity around 8 o'clock. A dozen orcas, including several adult males with tall dorsal fins, gathered in a tight circle. This was unusual on its own, but even more surprising were the sounds emanating from the animals. Instead of aggressive clicks commonly associated with hunting, there were soft, melodic and haunting sounds reminiscent of a lullaby. The team intensified their observations. The sounds defied classification, and Dr. Anderson struggled to comprehend what she was hearing. The analysis through hydrophones showed it was a completely new form of vocalization. Intrigued, the team decided to approach more closely in a small motorboat. Cautiously drawing near the orcas, the scientists were unsure how they would react. To the researchers' surprise, the enormous predators showed not a hint of aggression. They were so focused on what lay in the center that they didn't even notice the boat. At the center of the circle was a baby blue whale, typically prey for orcas. Instead of attacking, the orcas were protecting the calf. Its body bore deep scars, likely from a collision with a ship. The orcas took turns swimming underneath it, keeping it afloat. The scientists were astonished. Everything they knew about these animals' behavior seemed to collapse. The orcas demonstrated care and compassion, unexpected traits. A particularly large female, whom the team called Matriarch, stood out. She directed the group using vocal signals to prompt the orcas to rotate in the role of guardians. Even the scouts, orcas patrolling the perimeter of the circle, seemed to be protecting it from external threats. As midday approached, the scene began to change again. Spouts appeared on the horizon. Blue whales, likely the missing calf's family, were approaching. To the scientists' amazement, the orcas not only did not retreat, but restructured their ranks. Their circle expanded, forming a kind of corridor. It resembled a welcoming ceremony. The orcas, smoothly and without panic, allowed the whale family to approach. Then something unexpected happened. The matriarch emitted a series of specific sounds that combined elements of song and alarm. Response came quickly. One of the whale mothers sped up toward the circle and touched the calf. The orcas in turn remained nearby for a while, as if directly handing the calf into the care of its mother. A team member later described it as a perfectly rehearsed handoff. Such action didn't look instinctual. It appeared deliberate, almost human. While the mother whale supported the calf, several orcas gradually swam away, but some stayed, forming a protective ring around the mother and calf. It was as if they wanted to ensure the safety of the situation. Analysis of hydrophone data revealed an astonishing fact. The sounds made by the orcas were new and did not match any known vocalizations. Some of them, in their spectral characteristics, were close to the sounds made by blue whales, prompting scientists to ponder the possibility of interspecies communication. At that moment, Dr. Helen Anderson uttered words that would later become renowned in the scientific community. This isn't just an observation of ocean life, it's a direct dialogue between two worlds considered incompatible. Her words, spoken with a trembling voice, accompanied video footage capturing the unprecedented vocal signals and coordination of orca actions and baby handoff, resembling a scene from a movie more than reality. This spurred a hypothesis causing a broad resonance. What if this group of orcas was special? Perhaps their unusual behavior wasn't simply random kindness, but a result of learned skills. But who then was their teacher? Some team members began recalling other instances when these same orcas displayed behavior not of predators but of protectors. One technician, responsible for underwater cameras, remembered recording a few months ago how one of these orcas accompanied a wayward seal back to its pack. At the time, it was dismissed as a fluke, but now it seemed part of a bigger picture. However, the most surprising was yet to come. When the blue whale family and their calf swam out of sight, the story seemed to conclude. But the remaining orcas began to emit new, strange sounds that also didn't match previously studied signals. This didn't seem like a simple farewell, it was more like a message, but to whom? Aboard the ship, everyone listened intently to the hydrophones. Someone jokingly remarked, "Maybe they're calling for someone else." But minutes later, the joke ceased to be funny. Movement appeared in the distance. A group of dolphins swiftly approached the scene. Dolphins rarely venture close to orcas, even non-aggressive ones. However, these swimmers approached at an astonishingly close distance, unafraid. The orcas welcomed them by arranging themselves in an open semicircle, letting the dolphins enter the center. Then, from the depths, a young sperm whale surfaced, disoriented and apparently separated from its group. In normal circumstances, it would be easy prey, yet the dolphins and orcas surrounded it together, much as they had guarded the blue whale calf before. The scientists were floored. Predators and potential prey were now collaborating, acting as allies. Dr. Helen Anderson, usually restrained and skeptical, was in full awe. This is impossible. They're communicating, they're coordinating their actions. Such events had never occurred in her entire career. The behavior of orcas wasn't merely beyond borders of known, they shattered previous scientific doctrines. The young sperm whale was gently lifted to the surface. Although it wasn't injured, it appeared frightened and confused. Suddenly, one of the female dolphins began to produce sharp, clicking sounds directed towards the horizon. Shortly afterward, the horizon displayed renewed activity. A pod of sperm whales approached. Similar to the blue whales, the orcas formed a corridor, allowing the whale family to reunite safely. Two such coincidences in a single day couldn't be accidental. Some team members spoke of marine diplomacy. But how could such complex coordination be explained? Why this group of orcas precisely? An answer was unexpectedly found when scientists reviewed data from recent years. This particular group of orcas had long avoided hunting weak animals. Furthermore, interspecies interactions were increasingly frequent in their territory. It seemed they had consciously chosen a different path. It wasn't merely a pod, it was a community bound by traditions and unexplored rules. And what struck the team to the core was when an incidental recording made 2 years prior captured a juvenile orca from this group, rescuing a sea lion tangled in fishing nets, towing it back to shore. At the time, it wasn't given much importance, but now it seemed like a deliberate sequence of actions. Though the blue whales and their calf had departed, the story ostensibly ended. Yet the remaining orcas began to emit even more unusual sounds, seemingly not just bidding goodbye, but sending a message. The ship's hull vibrated with these sounds, unusual both in form and structure, as if addressed to someone or something else. Aboard the research vessel, the team stood frozen in anticipation, listening to the hydrophone feed. One scientist remarked, "What if they're truly calling someone?" As if in response, moments later, a group of dolphins appeared from the ocean depths, moving purposefully and swiftly. Dolphins rarely approach orcas, even friendly ones, but these came fearlessly. The orcas didn't chase them away, instead forming an open semicircle, allowing the dolphins to pass into the center. Emerging slowly from the depths was a young sperm whale, clearly disoriented and away from its group. Under normal conditions, this would be easy prey. However, dolphins and orcas encircled it together, just as they had surrounded the grey whale calf, confirming that this was no mere random behavior, but a clearly coordinated action. Aboard the vessel, shock was palpable. The psychology of predators and potential prey had shifted again. They acted as allies. Dr. Helen Anderson, previously skeptical, now stood with her mouth agape, whispering, "They are genuinely communicating and coordinating their actions." This behavior brought to light a new level of understanding ocean ecosystems. The young sperm whale was carefully brought to the surface. It wasn't injured, but visibly disoriented. At that moment, one of the dolphins produced a series of clicking sounds that captured everyone's attention on the ship. 10 minutes later, a pod of sperm whales appeared on the horizon. These were relatives coming for their calf. Once again, orcas formed a corridor for a safe reunion. This was already the second such case of cross-species coordination within a day. The team began discussing peaceful coexistence in the ocean. How could such precision be explained? Why did this group behave in this way? An answer emerged as researchers reviewed records over the years. This group of orcas had long refrained from hunting weak and injured animals. Instead, they involved other marine creatures in their actions for assistance and ecosystem support. These orcas had become guardians of the marine world, and their actions symbolic. It was a community with rules, traditions, and perhaps a form of intelligence that humanity was just beginning to comprehend. After the bold and astounding rescue, the research team, bewildered by what they had seen, realized they were witnessing the dawn of a new era in understanding marine life. These events inspired scientists to reassess everything they knew about orca behavior and other marine mammals. A sharp signal from the hydrophones caught the attention of the entire crew. The matriarch of the orcas, an old female leading the entire operation, emitted a sound not found in any existing databases. Although far from human speech, its rhythm and intonation were reminiscent of a human message. Aboard the ship, silence reigned. Everyone looked at one another, trying to comprehend what they'd heard. Could these animals be not merely intelligent, but sentient? At that moment, Dr. Anderson decided to improvise. She activated an underwater speaker used for tests and spoke into the microphone. "Do you understand us?" The response was immediate. A steady, clear impulse sound, neither aggressive nor random, with duration and rhythm mirroring Dr. Anderson's voice. It appeared to be an answer to her address. Now, the scientists faced a new challenge: to devise a systematic approach to this unique cross-species interaction. They began analyzing all recordings and observations, hoping to find patterns. Previously, strange interactions with this particular group of orcas seemed like random anomalies, but now they were part of a single picture. The orcas transmitted sounds unmistakably intended for information exchange, something impossible to deny. These events prompted the team to ponder: could orcas and other marine mammals be capable of more complex communication than previously thought? If so, how far does their understanding and ability to exchange complex concepts extend? Now researchers decided to focus on studying this group of orcas to establish deeper contact. This opened new horizons not only for science but also for understanding humankind's place in the marine ecosystem. It was uncharted territory that could not be ignored. Thus began a new phase, full of hopes and questions. How to establish true understanding, and what might this knowledge mean for our future coexistence with the rest of the natural world? The questions remained open, but one thing was clear. They had touched something vast and fundamental, promising to change not just science, but the world around. Did you enjoy this story? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to not miss new releases. See you soon.